My parents blamed me for my sister's accident for 9 years, until I found the real police report. I dropped my hospital badge on the kitchen counter, still wearing scrubs from my 12-hour shift at Cleveland General. Every muscle aches, but Emma will be hungry soon. I scan the freezer for something quick. Frozen chicken nuggets and corn will have to do. Grace? Could you come in here? Dad's voice drifts from the dining room, carrying that artificial calm that always means trouble. Just a minute, I call back, sliding the food into the microwave. Making dinner for Emma. This can't wait, Mom adds, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. The microwave hums as I shuffle toward the dining room in my compression socks. Mom and Dad sit at opposite ends of our oak table, a formal arrangement we usually reserve for Christmas or when Reverend Thompson visits. Papers are spread between them, stark white against the dark wood. Emma's wheelchair is positioned at the third side of the table. Dad's salt and pepper beard twitches when I enter. Sit down. No greeting. No "how was your shift?" Just the command. I lower myself into the remaining chair, noting Mom's pinched expression and how Emma studies her hands in her lap. What's going on? Dad slides a document toward me, his wedding ring catching the overhead light. Your mother and I are getting older. We need to formalize arrangements for Emma's care. I scan the first page. Caregiver agreement stretches across the top in bold letters. Further down, primary responsible party, Grace Elizabeth Harper. I don't understand. It's simple, Mom says, voice soft but steel underneath. You'll cash out your 401k to create a care fund for Emma. Then you'll contribute $2,000 monthly toward her ongoing expenses. The room tilts. $2,000? Every month. Dad leans forward, fingers steepled. You make $68,000 as a nurse. That's nearly $4,000 monthly after taxes. We're only asking for half. But my student loans? My apartment? Don't hide behind student loans, Mom cuts in, suddenly sharp. You've got $55,000 in your 401k. Cash it out. You'll get at least $38,000 after penalties. My hands start trembling. I press them flat against the table, fighting nausea. This seems very sudden. Nothing sudden about it, Dad says. You've been responsible for your sister since the accident. Now we're putting it in writing. I stare at the papers. My name repeated throughout. Primary responsible party. Financial obligations. Legally binding. Sign today, and we can file the paperwork tomorrow, Dad adds, pushing a pen toward me. Memory flashes, 16-year-old me sitting on Emma's hospital bed, braiding her hair while machines beeped around us. I'll always take care of you, I promise. This is my fault, but I'll fix it somehow. Emma's eyes catch mine across the table, then slide away. She hasn't spoken a word. Why is this all on me? The question comes out smaller than intended. We're all family. Dad's face hardens. Because you're the reason she's in that wheelchair. The familiar knife of guilt twists deeper, but beneath it stirs something new, a question I've never allowed myself to voice. 9 years of this, and now you want it in writing. The arrangement has always been clear, Mom says, smoothing invisible wrinkles from the tablecloth. You chose to help those stray cats instead of walking Emma to the school bus. Your irresponsibility cost her everything. Each word lands with practiced precision. I've heard this story thousands of times. 14-year-old Emma missed her bus because I wasn't there to walk her. She tried to catch it at the next stop, crossed Maple Street without looking, and a delivery van couldn't stop in time. My fault. Always my fault. I need time to think about this. My voice steadies unexpectedly. Dad's eyebrows shoot up. There's nothing to think about. You owe this to your sister. Just a day or two, I insist. Sign now, Mom says, or we'll tell everyone at the hospital how you're abandoning your responsibility. Your supervisor at Cleveland General, your church friends, everyone will know. The threat hangs between us. They know exactly how I've built my life around what happened, how the hospital staff respects my dedication to my paralyzed sister, how the congregation admires my sacrifice. I reach for the pen, fingers trembling. Hold it above the signature line. My entire future condensed to a single stroke of ink. Then I place the pen down gently. I'll talk to you tomorrow. In my bedroom, I lock the door and sink to the floor, back against the wall. My hands shake too violently to text. I scroll through my contacts, finding a name I haven't called in years. The phone rings 3 times before she answers. Grace? It's been forever. Are you okay? The concern in Rachel's voice breaks something loose inside me. Tears flow freely now as I struggle to explain. They want everything I have. My retirement. My paycheck. I don't know what to do. Slow down, Rachel says, her lawyer training kicking in. Start at the beginning. Tell me exactly what happened. Between sobs, I explain the ambush, the papers, the threats. Rachel listens without interruption, then asks the question that stops my breath. Grace, have you ever seen the actual police report from Emma's accident? No, I whisper, memories rearranging themselves like puzzle pieces. They handled everything. I was 16. Devastated. They told me what happened. Silence stretches between us before I voice the thought forming in the darkest corner of my mind, what if it wasn't my fault after all? 3 days later, I meet Rachel at Murphy's Diner, a sanctuary far from my parents' reach. The coffee shop buzzes with quiet conversation as I clutch my ceramic mug. Steam curls upward, disappearing like the life I thought I knew. Rachel slides into the booth across from me, briefcase thudding against the wooden table. Gone is the college friend with messy blonde hair and infectious laughter. This Rachel wears a tailored navy suit, hair pulled back professionally, eyes sharp with purpose. You look terrible, she says without cushioning. That's the Rachel I remember. 12-hour shifts plus avoiding my family will do that. I attempt to smile. Haven't been back to the house except to sleep. She unlatches her briefcase with twin clicks. I found the police report. The words hang between us like a physical thing. I stare at the manila folder she places on the table, containing either my imprisonment or my freedom. How bad is it? My voice comes out small. Rachel doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she opens the folder and turns it to face me. Read it yourself. The black type blurs before my eyes. Location of accident, Riverside Drive, 4.2 miles from our neighborhood. Time, 3:47 p.m. Vehicle involved, 2001 Honda Civic. Driver, Kevin Walsh, age 18. Passenger, Emma Harper, age 14. This can't be right. I flip through pages, scanning witness statements. This says she was in a car with some boy, miles from where I was feeding the cats. Keep reading. Rachel's voice remains steady. Witness testimony jumps out at me. Female passenger appeared to be laughing, seatbelt unfastened, leaning toward driver. Vehicle ran red light at intersection. Delivery truck had right of way when collision occurred. But they told me she missed her bus because I wasn't there. That she was trying to catch it at the next stop when my throat closes around the words. They lied, Grace. Rachel's fingers cover mine, warm and solid. They lied about everything. The diner walls seem to tilt and sway. 9 years of guilt. 9 years of sacrificed dreams, working double shifts, apologizing with every breath for crime I never committed. Emma was skipping school with her secret boyfriend. Rachel continues, voice low. Kevin Walsh. Senior class president. Your parents had forbidden her from seeing him. Too old, too wild, remember? Memories resurface. Emma whispering on the phone late at night. Mysterious text messages. Sudden interest in school basketball games. Details I'd forgotten, buried under years of manufactured guilt. Multiple witnesses confirmed it. Rachel flips to another page. Emma skipped the afternoon bus entirely to meet Kevin. They were heading to Lake Washington when they ran the red light. My stomach heaves. I bolt for the bathroom, barely making it before emptying my breakfast into the toilet. Cold sweat beads on my forehead as I rinse my mouth, staring at my reflection, hollow-eyed, pale. A ghost formed of other people's lies. When I return, Rachel has ordered me fresh coffee. The police report waits, as inexorable as Judgment Day. The hospital records, I whisper, lowering myself carefully into the booth. The ones I wasn't allowed to see because I was too emotional. They knew from the beginning, didn't they? Rachel nods. I spoke with the nurse who was there when Emma was brought in. Your parents immediately started constructing the narrative. Right there in the trauma room, while doctors were working on Emma, your father was already saying you were responsible. The betrayal carves through me, radiating from my chest outward. Why would they do this to me? Money, initially. Then control. Rachel pulls out more documents. Your grandmother left you $25,000 when she died, remember? 4 months after Emma's accident, your parents borrowed it for emergency medical expenses. But Emma's care was covered by insurance. Another memory surfaces, signing papers while crying in Emma's hospital room, Dad's hand heavy on my shoulder. For your sister's future, he'd said. They made me delay college. My voice sounds distant. Said Emma needed me at home for recovery. I took night classes while working days, watching her between shifts. And your nursing degree? Who chose that career path? The question hits like a slap. Mom said it made sense, that I'd be better equipped to care for Emma. Yet nurses make significantly less than the engineering career you originally planned. Rachel slides another document forward. Your starting salary would have been nearly double what you make now. My mind races, recalculating 9 years of manipulation. The guilt trips when I mentioned moving out. The constant reminders about my responsibility. Emma's occasional tearful apologies that never made sense until now. They've been planning this formal agreement for months, I realize aloud. That's why they kept asking about my 401k. Rachel nods. Without this document, they have no legal basis for their demands. They're scared, Grace. Of what? Losing their cash cow? Bitterness rises like bile. That's part of it. Rachel hesitates. I did some digging. Your parents are underwater financially, second mortgage, credit card debt, medical bills not covered by insurance. Your father lost his management job 8 months ago. The revelation should soften my anger, but instead it hardens into something cold and precise. He never told me. All those church fundraisers, the respect he commands, it's a facade. And Emma? Did she know? Rachel confirms gently, she had to. She was 14, not 4. She remembers the accident. The betrayal from my sister cuts deepest of all. 9 years of silent complicity while watching me sacrifice everything. They're not cartoon villains, Rachel cautions. They're genuinely scared of losing their home, unable to fund Emma's care without your income. Your mother truly believes Emma's future depends on your sacrifice. That doesn't make it right. My voice hardens. No, it doesn't. Rachel closes the folder with finality. The good news is they have no case. Even if Emma's accident had been your fault, which it absolutely wasn't, they have no legal standing to demand ongoing support. For the first time in days, I feel something like hope stirring. So what do? We gather more evidence. The police report is just the beginning. Rachel ticks off points on her fingers. We need witness statements, Emma's ex-boyfriend's testimony, your Aunt Carol who overheard your parents at the hospital. Kevin Walsh still lives in Columbus, I recall suddenly. He teaches at Riverside High. Perfect. And I know someone else who can help. Rachel pulls out her phone. David Chen, investigative journalist specializing in family fraud cases. He broke that story last year about the couple who faked their child's cancer for donations. The magnitude of what we're planning finally hits me. This will destroy my family. Rachel's gaze softens slightly. Your family destroyed itself the moment they decided to sacrifice your future for their convenience. But this isn't about revenge, Grace. It's about freedom, yours and Emma's. That same afternoon, I locate Kevin Walsh's profile on social media, my finger hovering over the message button. His life appears perfectly ordinary. Wedding photos with a red-haired teacher, 2 young sons with his square jaw, a suburban home with a tire swing. Nothing suggests he carries the same burden I do. I type a simple message, were you with Emma the day of her accident? My phone buzzes within minutes. A local number I don't recognize. Grace? It's Kevin. I got your message. His voice sounds deeper than I remember, but with the same slight nervousness. I've been waiting 9 years for this call. My heart hammers against my ribs. What do you mean? I've carried this guilt for years. His words rush out, unstoppable. Emma begged me not to tell anyone she was in my car. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt, said it wrinkled her new shirt for the party that weekend. The world tilts beneath me. I grip the edge of the table to steady myself. Your parents showed up at the hospital while you were getting coffee from the cafeteria. They told me if I ever mentioned the car accident, they'd press charges for endangering a minor. His voice cracks. I was 18, scared out of my mind. When they started telling everyone about the bus stop and the stray cats, I just went along with it. Why are you telling me now? Because it's eating me alive. And my wife saw your message. She's been telling me for years I need to come clean. He pauses. Emma knows I'm calling you. We've stayed in touch. My sister knew. All this time, she knew. Will you sign a statement about what really happened? I ask. Already typing it up. I'll have it notarized tomorrow. After I hang up, Rachel squeezes my shoulder. One more piece of evidence. Now let's call your Aunt Carol. Aunt Carol's testimony comes easily, too easily, as though she's been waiting for permission to unburden herself. I was bringing flowers to Emma's room when I overheard your parents in the hallway, she explains, her voice wavering over the phone. Your mother said, don't let anyone know she was with that boy. We'll say Grace was supposed to walk her to the bus. And your father answered, Grace has always been responsible. She'll accept it was her fault. Carol's voice breaks. I should have said something then. I'm so sorry, Grace. By Friday afternoon, I have everything I need. I time my arrival for when Emma is at physical therapy with her weekend aide. The living room seems smaller somehow as I stand before my parents, police report clutched in my hand. Dad looks up from his newspaper, eyes narrowing at my expression. What's going on? I know the truth about the accident, I say, my voice steadier than expected. It happened miles from the bus stop, in Kevin's car. The color drains from Dad's face. His hands clench the armrests of his recliner, knuckles white. Mom recovers first. We were protecting Emma from scandal. You were old enough to handle the responsibility. She says it like it's reasonable, like destroying one daughter to protect another makes perfect sense. You made me believe I destroyed my sister's life. My voice doesn't rise, but something in it makes them both flinch. For 9 years, I've carried that guilt. Dad leans forward, desperate. It doesn't change your obligation to your sister. I never abandoned Emma, and I never will. The words come from someplace new inside me, a place that's been buried under years of manufactured guilt. But I'm not signing those papers. Not tomorrow, not ever. I turn and walk out, back straight, head high. The front door closes behind me with a quiet click that feels more final than any slam. Rachel waits in her car at the curb, engine running. Her eyes widen when she sees me. You look 10 pounds lighter. The tears come then, sudden and overwhelming, not tears of pain but of release, as though my body is shedding years of accumulated poison. It worked, I manage between sobs. They admitted everything. This is just the beginning, Rachel says, pulling away from the curb. We're going to set things right. My phone buzzes with a text from Aunt Carol. My guest room is ready whenever you need it. I should have spoken up years ago. Then David calls with news. I've been looking into your parents' finances. There's evidence they've been using your contributions for their mortgage, not just Emma's care. This is exactly the kind of family fraud case that needs exposure. As we drive away from the house where I've been imprisoned by guilt for nearly a decade, I watch it shrink in the side mirror. For the first time, I allow myself to wonder, do I push forward now, or give them time to come clean on their own? The answer forms clearly in my mind. No more time. No more lies. I need to talk to Emma when she gets home from therapy, I tell Rachel. My sister needs to know that I've discovered the truth, and that I don't blame her for staying silent all these years. We've both been victims in different ways. On Monday morning, I take a sip of cold coffee, grimacing at the bitter taste as I stare at the whiteboard in Rachel's office. The timeline stretches across the entire wall, 9 years of manipulation mapped out in neat blue marker. Each sticky note represents a moment when my parents leveraged my guilt to extract money, time, or emotional support. We need to anticipate their next move, Rachel says, capping her marker. Her crisp blazer and steady voice ground me as I try to process the magnitude of what we're uncovering. They won't just roll over now that you've confronted them with the police report. The fluorescent lights hum overhead as I nod, forcing myself to look at the board with clinical detachment. My nursing training kicks in. Assess the situation, identify risks, develop a plan. Dad always counterattacks when cornered, I say, pointing to incidents in 2019 and 2022. Here, when I questioned why my inheritance from Grandma went to Emma's treatments, he told Reverend Thompson I was becoming bitter about my Christian duty. And here, when I tried to get my own apartment, He claimed Emma had a medical setback that required round-the-clock care. David enters with a stack of manila folders, setting them on the conference table with a solid thump. His investigative journalist instincts have proven invaluable over the past week. "You were right about the financial angle," he says, opening the top folder. "I tracked your contributions against Emma's medical expenses for the past 5 years. Less than 40% of what you gave them actually went to her care." My stomach tightens as I scan the spreadsheets. Where did the rest go? Mortgage payments, credit card bills, a boat purchased 2 years ago. David taps a highlighted section. "And this is interesting, they've been making payments to a vacation timeshare in Florida since 2021. The betrayal stings fresh, but I push the emotion away. This isn't about hurt feelings anymore. It's about systematic fraud. Over the next few hours, we organize our evidence with military precision. Kevin's written account of the accident and the threats my parents made afterward. Financial records showing the pattern of misappropriation. Medical records revealing treatments that were billed but never happened. I feel a strange calm settling over me as we work. For years, I've approached my family situation with guilt and fear. Now I'm analyzing it with the same clear-eyed focus I bring to complicated patient cases. The office phone rings, startling us. Rachel answers, her expression shifting as she listens. "Yes, she's here. I see. We'll review it immediately." She hangs up and turns to me. "Your parents have hired Patricia Lambert, the family support attorney." David frowns. "That's a serious escalation." Rachel nods grimly. "My assistant just received a formal demand letter. They're citing moral obligation and threatening to petition for guardianship of Emma if you don't comply with their financial demands." My hands begin to shake, the first crack in my professional detachment. Patricia Lambert has a reputation for aggressive litigation in family support cases. The thought of a legal battle sends panic coursing through me. Can they do that? Take guardianship of Emma? No, Rachel says firmly. But they're counting on your fear to make you fold. Legal fees alone could drain what savings you have left. David studies my face. "You okay?" I take a deep breath, steadying myself. The initial shock recedes, replaced by a surprising clarity. They're trying to scare me because they know I have the truth. I look between my allies, determination hardening inside me. How far are they willing to go to maintain this lie? The answer hangs unspoken in the air between us. My parents have spent 9 years constructing an elaborate deception. They've manipulated our entire community. They've stolen my money, my time, my peace. They won't surrender easily. But neither will I. 3 days later, I spread documents across Rachel's polished conference table. Each piece of evidence meticulously labeled and organized in chronological order. The police report sits at the center, its official letterhead a stark reminder of the truth I was never allowed to see. "This is everything?" Rachel asks, reviewing our preparation checklist. "Every scrap of evidence from the last 9 years." I adjust my reading glasses, still unaccustomed to their weight after years of neglecting my vision for more pressing concerns. Kevin's sworn statement about the car accident, Emma's medical records showing treatments that never happened, and bank statements tracking where my money actually went. David enters with a thick manila folder. "I found something else. Your parents applied for a home equity loan 6 months ago, using your signature." My stomach clenches. "I never signed anything." "Exactly." He points to the signature line. "It's a forgery. The bank's document examiner confirmed it yesterday." Rachel nods, adding the document to our evidence binder. This moves beyond emotional manipulation into criminal territory. That afternoon, my parents arrive at what they believe is a family mediation session. They've brought Reverend Thompson, 2 church elders, and their attorney. The dining room at Aunt Carol's house has been transformed into what can only be described as a tribunal. "Thank you all for coming," Dad begins, voice carrying practiced sincerity. "This is difficult, but family matters require family solutions." Mom distributes packets like some twisted board meeting. For those who don't know, Grace has been responsible for Emma's care since the accident 9 years ago. Recently, she's decided to abandon that responsibility. The accusation lands like a physical blow, exactly as intended. Shocked murmurs ripple through the room. "That's not what's happening," I interject, but Dad raises his hand. "Please, let me finish." His voice drops, thick with manufactured emotion. We've covered Emma's expenses as best we could, but my health issues have made working difficult. First lie, he was fired for poor performance. Mom takes over seamlessly. Without Grace's contribution, Emma's physical therapy will stop entirely. Second lie, insurance covers most of those therapies. Grace makes $68,000 a year as a nurse, Dad adds, eyes glistening with tears that appear on command. We're only asking for $2,000 monthly. Every eye turns expectantly toward me. This is exactly what they wanted: public pressure, moral judgment, the weight of community expectation forcing my compliance. Emma remains silent, her continued muteness interpreted as confirmation of their story. I rise slowly, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounds. Before anyone signs anything, I'd like to introduce someone. On cue, the doorbell rings. Mom frowns, clearly annoyed at the interruption. Who could that be? She asks, suspicion edging her tone. My attorney, I answer simply, watching her face pale. And a journalist who's been helping me investigate what really happened 9 years ago. I walk to the front door without waiting for permission. Rachel enters first, every inch the professional, followed by David with his recorder and press credentials visible. Behind them, Aunt Carol steps in, Mom's youngest sister, who worked at the hospital when Emma was admitted. What is she doing here? Mom demands, rising from her seat. Supporting the truth, Aunt Carol replies, moving to stand beside me. Rachel introduces herself. I understand you've been discussing a caregiving agreement under false pretenses. This is absurd, Dad sputters, his practiced composure cracking. Emma has been paralyzed for 9 years because Grace failed to walk her to the bus. That's the story you told, I correct him, feeling strangely calm now that the moment has arrived. But it's not what happened, is it, Dad? I place the police report on the table. The accident happened 4.2 miles from the bus stop, in Kevin Walsh's car. Emma was skipping school with her boyfriend against your rules. The room falls silent, relatives exchanging uncomfortable glances. Reverend Thompson leans forward, uncertainty replacing his earlier confidence. Before anyone signs anything, I continue, there's something you all need to see. Rachel opens her briefcase, removing manila folders for each person present. I catch Emma's eye across the table, seeing fear and something else. Perhaps relief? Emma, I say softly, after 9 years, don't you think it's time for the truth? Tears fill her eyes as she looks up, her fingers white-knuckled around the wheels of her chair. I've carried this for so long, she whispers, barely audible. I skipped the bus to ride with Kevin. Mom and Dad always said Grace would be blamed because she was supposed to be watching me. Her eyes meet mine across the table. I let them do this to you. For 9 years, I stayed silent. The tears I'd been holding back threatened to fall, but I blinked them away. I'm sorry, Emma. I would have helped you anyway. You never needed to lie. 3 weeks after the confrontation, I unlock the door to Emma's new apartment, pushing it wide as she wheels herself across the threshold. Sunlight streams through uncovered windows, painting golden rectangles on the hardwood floors. The space is modest but completely accessible. Lowered countertops, roll-under sink, wide doorways, and a bathroom large enough for her wheelchair to turn around comfortably. Is this really mine? Emma's voice carries a wonder I haven't heard since we were teenagers. All yours. I set down the box I'm carrying. The insurance settlement covered the first year's rent plus the accessibility modifications. No more asking permission to adjust your living space. Emma wheels herself through the apartment, running her hand along the countertops. Her shoulders have straightened in recent days, the perpetual curve of apology gradually disappearing. Dad called me again last night, she says, stopping at the window overlooking a small community garden. He sounds desperate. They should be worried. I unpack dishes into low cabinets. Reverend Thompson told me the church board started an investigation into the misused funds. And that's not counting the insurance fraud charges. Emma nods, a complicated mixture of emotions crossing her face. 9 years of lies unraveling in 3 weeks. My phone buzzes with a text from Rachel, financial guardianship papers approved. All Emma's benefits will be properly managed now. I show Emma the message. No more intercepted checks or diverted funds. She smiles, then wheels to the couch where I join her. Have you been sleeping? The question catches me off guard. Actually, yes. For the first time in forever. Last night, I slept 8 uninterrupted hours without guilt-laden dreams of Emma falling or crying out for help. How about you? I keep waking up thinking I need to call them, then remembering I don't have to report to anyone anymore. She adjusts her position. Yesterday, I applied for those disability benefits they always said I wouldn't qualify for. The ones they told you required my support to receive. Exactly those. She laughs, a sound I'd almost forgotten. Turns out I've been eligible for years. I open another box marked kitchen and begin sorting through utensils. I enrolled in the nurse practitioner program. Emma's eyes widen. The one you've talked about for years. Starting next semester. Without $2,000 leaving my account every month, I can actually afford tuition and a small apartment near campus. The golden afternoon light shifts as we continue unpacking. 3 nurses from our unit arrive with dinner and more boxes. Maria, the charge nurse who has watched me stumble through exhausted shifts for years, hugs me fiercely. We've started a rotating schedule to help Emma with anything she needs while you're in class, she says. The entire unit signed up. Emma accepts their embrace with tears in her eyes. I never knew how many people cared. After they leave, we sit together on her new patio as evening settles around us. Crickets chirp from the community garden below. Emma's apartment feels nothing like our parents' house. No heaviness, no walking on eggshells, no constant reminders of obligation. For years, I thought caring meant carrying everyone's burdens, I say, watching a cardinal dart among the potted flowers Maria brought. Now I see it means helping people stand on their own. Emma reaches for my hand. I should have told you the truth years ago. We were both trapped in different ways. 6 months later, I stand before the whiteboard in Cleveland General's Trauma Center, leading orientation for new nurses. My scrubs are the same blue, but everything else has changed. My small apartment near campus is filled with plants and textbooks. My student loans are on a manageable repayment plan. Most importantly, the weight crushing my chest for 9 years has lifted. Remember, I tell the wide-eyed nurses, your first responsibility is to advocate for your patients. Sometimes that means standing up to family members who claim to know what's best. After my shift, I drive to Emma's apartment for our weekly dinner. She's mastered cooking from her wheelchair, and the smell of homemade pizza greets me at the door. How's the online program going? I ask, setting my bag down. 3 A's so far. Pride colors her voice. The disability advocacy course is my favorite. I'm helping 2 families navigate the system our parents exploited. We eat at her accessible table, discussing future plans rather than past mistakes. When she mentions our parents' latest attempt at reconciliation, I don't feel the usual twist of anxiety. I told them the same thing I always do, I say. I'll consider a relationship when they take full responsibility and make amends to the people they hurt. Emma nods. They're still talking about family obligation and forgiveness without acknowledging what they did. Their choice. I don't need anyone's permission to create my own life anymore. On the 1-year anniversary of the Confrontation, Emma and I drive to Riverside Park where I used to feed stray cats as a teenager. The autumn leaves crunch under her wheelchair as I push her along the path to the small clearing where the feeding station once stood. Remember when I couldn't even look at cats without feeling guilty? I ask, helping her navigate a bumpy section of trail. Emma laughs. And now we're building a support network for families dealing with spinal cord injuries. The Harper Sisters Foundation launched last month with funding from a settlement with our parents' insurance company. We've already helped 3 families navigate medical systems without financial exploitation, providing grants for accessibility modifications and legal support to protect vulnerable patients. Later that evening, we attend Emma's physical therapy milestone celebration. She demonstrates her improved upper body strength by transferring from wheelchair to treatment table without assistance, earning applause from the gathered therapists and fellow patients. When asked to say a few words, Emma wheels to the center of the room. The heaviest burden wasn't my paralysis, she tells the group, her voice steady and clear. It was the lies. Watching her speak with such confidence, I feel a sense of completion. The truth hasn't just set us free, it's shown us who was really there for us all along. Not the parents who claimed exclusive rights to our loyalty, but the community that rallied around us when we finally spoke our truth. As we leave the celebration, Emma asks, Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Rachel hadn't asked about the police report? I consider this as we head toward the car. I think the truth would have found its way out eventually. It was too big to stay buried forever. The evening air is crisp with the promise of winter, but for the first time in 9 years, I'm not afraid of what's coming next. I have my sister back, not as a burden to carry, but as a partner in building something better. And that, I realize, is what family was supposed to be all along.